Hey there! Let's take a look at a beautiful Victorinox Huntsman Type 1937. And the Type 1937s were the ones with the first generation can opener, but with plastic scales. It was the first time Victorinox used plastic scales. This knife is, I call it a Huntsman because it has the regular tool set plus scissors and a saw. But actually back when these were made, they were referred to first as Model 236s. And this is a smaller one. This would be like an 84 millimeter model, even though it measures out closer to 83 millimeters. The smaller ones had a K suffix, so this would be a Model 236K. These knives are very hard to find, particularly in this condition. This knife is clean and shiny and newish. Someone has done a wonderful job cleaning it and polishing it somewhere along the line. I have not. I've not had to do refurbishment work to this knife. It came to me this way. The only thing I've done is I've repaired a little crack here in the back scale with some red epoxy. But these knives are very hard to find in good condition, particularly the scales. When they first came out, they used celluloid. They called it Elzenid. That was their trade name for it, but it was celluloid. The same plastic they made old film out of that would, just melt in the can over time. And they would cut it into rectangles and press it into molds to make the scales. Well, they just fell apart. So most of these that you see, or many of the Type 1937s, will have cracked scales, pieces missing, they're shrunken away from the liners, all sorts of problems. But somewhere along the line in the Type 1937 run, they switched from celluloid to cellulose acetate butyrate. And the scales were made with an injection molded process then. So they held up better. And I think this is probably that second generation of plastic because it's just so good other than a couple little cracks, which could have been from a drop or something. It's really hard to tell whether you're getting one with the old celluloid or one with the newer cellulose acetate butyrate, because there's really no tool change that you can go by where you say, oh, if it's got this tool, it has the old plastic. If it has this style tool, it has the newer plastic. They just made that switch somewhere in there in the Type 1937s, and you just kind of have to judge by looking at the condition of the scales. I would say definitely if you see one with shrunken scales and multiple cracks, you're looking at the old Elzenid, the old celluloid. So let's take a look at the rest of this knife because it is in beautiful condition. Here's the main blade. You have a tang stamp here that reads Victorinox, separated with the crossbow. There's nothing on the other side. The blade is nice and full. The action on this knife is very smooth and snappy, almost like a new knife. Here's the small clip point blade. It's also got a nice full belly. And then up next is the saw. I can remember where the saw is. Bear with me. Here we go. It's an old style saw with a nail nick and the squared off tip here. Next we're looking at the scissors. And these scissors have the original spring. Screw pivot. You can see a nail nick here on the body and one over here on the blade. And then here's that old style can opener again. That's the original generation. And then the screwdriver cap lifter. And all these model 1937s will have the cap lifter. Here's the corkscrew. Nickel silver liners. 5 turns and a flute. And the awl. So again, it's really hard to find these in this condition. This is a knife from Dave Arnold's collection. I want to thank Dave again for lending us this knife so we can all have a look at it. I hope you've enjoyed watching and have fun collecting.